application, the control and the complete management of application is one of the important challenge what we need to consider. So I am on slide 7, which enterprise mobility key considerations. The key considerations are one is the payload. Let me just share few of the experiences what I had with other different implementations in our traditional client server based applications where the browser was the client, and those areas when we used to say that performance is a big problem, you are sending the huge data to the browser, and that is why it is taking time to load it. So the answer was it's a fine, right? You are on an intranet and the bandwidth is more, so it will render. That is okay. So that kind of a messages we heard from the technical people talking, and that is where the content rendered in the desktop browser was so high. And I would even say that you can visit any of the rich sites and try to save the page, and you will see the content in KBs. And if KBs, and even I saw in certain places where a landing page was nearly MBs. Think of like you have a mobile data where and you are trying to load that much of an MB of a data. So what will happen? And that is where the one key consideration is the payload, right? So payload, optimize the payload, the size of the payload matters a lot. So few of the points in the payload which we need to consider is the type of a payload. That means what is the type of a data? Should I be loading just a plain text? Should I be providing the JSON type of an object, or should I be providing the XML type of an object? So what is that type of payload, or should I be giving the ASCII or a binary data? What should I really be providing? So the type of payload is extremely important, and these are the points become a checklist for any IT implementations to look at, and we need to fill in those points when we actually go for an enterprise mobile implementation. Performance considerations, we need to see that we need to also perform an evaluation that what type of devices are most people will be using in my environment, what is the type of network connectivity they would be having. So will they be using over Wi-Fi more, will they be using over 3G or 4G or a edge type of a network, or will there be any kind of a drop in the network where they need to store the offline content. So what all we need to do is, so many different considerations we need to give when we are considering the payload alone. Then the data formats, like it is also related to the type of payload, where should I be considering JSON objects so that I can parse, should I be considering XML, whether my libraries support XML parsing or whether my libraries support JSON parsing, or should I be giving the CSV file, or I should be providing the binary data. So many questions arise, and that becomes one of the key considerations what I should be doing. Similarly, portability, if I consider the type of payload to be say JSON, then I need to also look at it. What are the different operating systems we are targeting, whether they all are compatible with this data format. If they are not compatible, what amount of extension I need to consider, how much that extension is going to cost for me from a development, from testing, from security point of view. So many different things we need to consider. Whether that payload format can have a contextual information. If not, how am I going to create the contextual information? So many different things we need to consider. We need to also see the relational behavior. That means whether the data has a relation with some of the other data. It could be a session information. How am I going to handle it? It could be the data related information or the user related information. How am I going to relate it? So many different things we need to consider only when it comes to the payload, and it requires a very close attention, specifically from the designers and the architect type of people when they are designing the mobile apps. The second point is security. Security is one of the niche area, and in the name of security there are many times a lot of things gets imposed, and no matter how beautiful wow type of application you develop, and if it is not secured, enterprise is not going to accept the application. So without the proper security considerations, no app will go live in the industry today, right? And that is why the three key considerations what there are many apart from this, but I just try to capture few key consideration. One is the channel security. Mostly all the enterprises have to have the channel security with appropriate. Predominantly it is an SSL based channel security, and then the data security, which is the data, which including the request and responses need to be encrypted appropriately. So the data security is one of the key consideration. The device security, right? So if my device is stolen, how am I going to do it? Will the person who got the device, whether it could be stolen or I lost my devices, what about the data security or what about the device security? Will I be able to remotely disable the device? How am I going to consider? So many different things we need to consider when we are designing the mobile application. Architecture. Layered architecture is one of the key considerations, but many architects have a difference of opinion around this. Mobility, it requires the low latency transactions. It also expects the quick response time. It also expects the less number of layers so that the hops between the layers can be optimized. But we need to have a balance between how many layers we should really go with, but because mobility is one of the channels, right? So one thing I want to be very clearly mention in this discussion is that when we are discussing a mobility for an enterprise, mobile is one of the channel for enterprise to expose the services or functionality, right? There could be a web, there could be even the desktop applications, quick client applications, so many, and tomorrow things may change. So tomorrow there would be something else, something different channel altogether. How am I going to really consider that mobile channel or other channels to integrate? So when I'm doing a layered architecture, I need to have a gateway, or I need to have a capability in my enterprise to ensure that the development effort from the backend services point of view is universal. That means whether it is today mobility or tomorrow something, we should be able to consume those, and that is why I try to relate the service-oriented architecture principles with the mobility aspects. We need loose coupling so that tomorrow we can plug and play kind of a capabilities. If we want, say today, for example, today bill desk integration is there, payment integration is there, and so many different such kind of a service providers are there. And tomorrow, if third service provider comes and I immediately want to move it, or there could be a enterprises where they want to give option to the customers to choose what type of bill provider they want to move, transact with. Then the application should support both type of or different type of transaction mechanism, and that again becomes a challenge for architects. Standard based important thing I would like to mention. Many things keep evolving, and it is also a nice thing to say I have something new in my enterprise. But when it comes to enterprise class implementation, standards based implementation, or I would say open standard based implementation, is the mandatory thing we need to consider it. And that the open standard based integration is very important, because if we don't go with an open standard based integration and we go with a proprietary, and that proprietary standard goes out of the support, or even they have a challenges, it becomes extremely difficult for us to integrate with other technology providers if the technology is not following open standards. Another key consideration is service governance, which includes change management, device governance, application governance,